Hello everybody, this is Deb from Just Do Something Homestead, and we are starting a brand new series on home cooked meals. And today we are going to start with one of my absolute favorite, Mom's famous lasagna. And that is right, this is my mom's recipe. Lasagna is one of those meals that looks so impressive, but you know what? If you've ever made one, it's not difficult at all. It's just a few basic ingredients. Even when it's just Jim and myself, I love to make lasagna because I can freeze the leftovers. I am actually cooking 2 meals at one time. I am cooking our dinner right now for tonight, and I am assembling this lasagna for tomorrow. That's right, I can make it the night before, and Jim can throw it in the oven while I'm at work, and it will be ready when I come home. Let's take a look at this recipe. First off, look at this recipe book. The binding's falling apart. There's stains, there's globs, and there's things crossed out and changed. That's how you know this is a beloved recipe. I actually follow this recipe exactly as written. I've already adjusted from 8 ounces to 12 ounces of mozzarella cheese, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. So you're gonna need 1 box of uncooked lasagna, 1 pound of ground beef, 48 ounces of spaghetti sauce or pasta sauce. That is 2 regular jars. You're going to want some oregano, 1 pound of ricotta cheese, some mozzarella cheese. I actually do add some variety to that, 4 eggs, and Italian seasoning. This is a cook the noodle first kind of lasagna. Some of them I know you can put the noodles in there uncooked, but this one we cook them first. And I am going to use my stoneware baking pan. It is just so wonderful to clean, so I try to stick with that. Again, that is well loved. You can see by all the marks in it. The first thing you're going to do is brown 1 pound of hamburger. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that we have our own butchered beef. So we are going to brown and break into small pieces 1 pound of hamburger. I'm using my large cast iron pan, and it is well seasoned, but our beef is very lean. So I put a dab of butter in there first. I'm going to melt it, heat up the pan, and then add my hamburger. I'm going to add Leg's custom blended seasoning, and this one is mild Italian sausage seasoning. We love this stuff. It says seasons 25 pounds of meat. This is if you were grinding your own pork and you wanted to make sausage. Well, Jim can't eat pork because he has gout, and so we use a lot of beef, and when I add this Italian seasoning, it tastes like pork. So I am going to sprinkle 1 tablespoon of this seasoning right onto the hamburger, and then I'm going to stir it in and break it into smaller pieces. While your hamburger is cooking, you're going to take your largest stock pot that you have, fill it with some water close to the top, and get it to a boil for your lasagna noodles. While the hamburger is cooking, I am going to make a sauce, and this sauce starts with 1 container of ricotta cheese. I use whole milk, but you can easily use the 2% as well. All right, now I'm going to add that to my large mixing bowl. Next is the mozzarella cheese, and this is where I said I vary it just slightly. This is a 6 ounce container. I use 6 ounces of mozzarella and 6 ounces of Mexican cheese blend. Now, when you look at what's in this blend, it is simply Colby Jack, Monterey Jack, and cheddar cheese. So nothing extreme, but I am going to pour the entire Mexican blend in and half of the mozzarella cheese bag. Save the other half of your shredded mozzarella because you're going to need that when we start layering the lasagna. It calls for 4 eggs. I know that sounds like a lot, but I add all 4 eggs to this recipe. The last ingredient for our filling is a shake of garlic powder, Italian seasoning, and oregano leaves. I do not measure them. I just shake them till it looks good. This is what it looks like at this point. You are now going to stir it until it is completely blended. filling should look like this, well blended, pale yellow. You're just going to set it aside until everything else is ready. Start your lasagna by pouring a little sauce to coat the bottom of your pan. Now I am using stoneware, so I do not need to grease this. If you're using a metal pan, baking dish, you're going to have to grease it. I shook my pan around until the bottom was completely coated with sauce. The remaining half of this jar gets poured into your pan with your cooked hamburger. I know a lot of people don't put pasta sauce, tomato sauce into their cast iron, but I do. So if you don't like that, then you definitely can use a different type of pan. Both jars go in here, and you're going to heat it up just so the sauce is warm. You do not need to get it to boiling or anything else. Just heat it up a little. We are almost ready to add the lasagna. I'm waiting for a full boil, and at that point it's going to cook for 8 minutes. I buy my pasta sauce from Aldi. It is organic. We really like it. It's $1.99 for each one. In the summer, I will make my own sauce, but right now I am out. But a little hint about these jars, if you look close, it says Mason. And so what I do is I clean them completely out. And over the summer, I make flower arrangements and I sell them in these jars at the farmer's market. We are definitely at a full boil. So I'm going to show you how I add my pasta. I just kind of slide it in there. And so I slide each piece in and then I stir it until they're all in the pot. But you don't want them touching, because if they don't get stirred, they're not going to be cooked each place that they touch. I turn the pot down a little at this point because it starts to get big bubbles and they pop up all over the place. So I turn it down just a little bit and make sure you stir it. You're going to cook your lasagna noodles for 8 minutes. Once the timer goes off, you're going to pour them into a strainer. I like this one because it straddles my sink and it keeps the noodles up on top. At this point, you are just going to start layering all the ingredients. So your sauce is ready with the meat. You have your filling all stirred up. Your lasagna noodles are all ready. And now you're just going to start layering it in your pans. Or in your pan, and there is a distinct different way of layering it. So I'm going to go through each one. The first thing, as you know, you put a little sauce in the bottom. Now you layer the lasagna noodles. The way I layer mine is to put 3 across the bottom and then to fill in that space with 2 that go across the top. Now you see there's a little space here. That is where I put my little pieces. So sometimes they are ripped, sometimes there's pieces that broke in the box. I put the little pieces on the end. The next ingredient is the cheese filling, and you are going to put half of that spread on top of your lasagna noodles. I start by putting globs of this cheese on there, and then I'm just going to spread it out with a knife. The next layer is the meat sauce, and you are going to generously, completely cover up the cheese. We are going to put lasagna now on top of the meat sauce. I layered it the same way. I started with 3, put 2 over the connecting parts, and this time, as you notice, I pushed the lasagna noodles to the other side and filled in with small pieces on this side. At this point, the rest of the cheese filling goes on top of the lasagna noodles. And remember that half bag of shredded cheese? You're going to spread that on top of the cheese sauce. Just 2 more layers. Put the rest of the noodles on top and then completely cover it with the remaining sauce. Notice how the noodles completely worked out. So there were 3 layers of them with 6 noodles in each layer. The only thing left to do is sprinkle on some Italian seasoning. And I am going to cover it up with aluminum foil. You have 2 options at this point. What I'm going to do is cover it with foil and put it in my refrigerator. Tomorrow, all we need to do is pull it out and bake for 1 hour. Now, if I had placed this in a freezer-proof container, I could instead freeze it and then you will thaw it for 24 hours in your refrigerator and bake for 70 minutes. When you are ready to bake your lasagna, preheat your oven to 375 degrees and remove the aluminum foil. And there you have it, a home-cooked dinner that your family is going to love. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye-bye. And here we are the next night, and this is our lasagna. It looks so wonderful.